Today, 3 teams set their sights. The goal? To be NCAA champion. Coach Greg Buick and the #1 ranked Oklahoma Sooners are poised to take it all, with seniors Jared Hanks and Jeff Lutt providing the 1-2 punch. For Coach Art Sherlock, UCLA's third-place finish last year was demoralizing. The Bruins have loftier goals this year behind juniors Scott Keswick and Cheney Humphrey. Penn State coach Carl Shire, with the support of an enthusiastic hometown crowd, hopes his Nittany Lions can corral their first championship in 15 years. The Sooners, the Bruins, the Lions take aim at a title. Welcome to CBS Sports coverage of the 1991 NCAA Men's Gymnastics Championships. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome to Rec Hall on the campus of Penn State University, where today we'll find out which of 3 teams, UCLA, Oklahoma, or the Nittany Lions of Penn State, will succeed in Nebraska as champions in men's gymnastics. Working alongside me today, former All-American and member of that 1984 U.S. Olympic gold medal winning team, Peter Vidmar. And Peter, it is said that this competition is perhaps the closest in recent years. Why?
Well, I think it'll be the closest because every athlete out there on that floor is very healthy. This is a no-excuses NCAA championships. And for the first time in years, we're going to find out exactly who the best team really is.
The fact that everyone is healthy is good news for anyone watching, because on display here today will be some of the best gymnasts in the country.
Yeah, 2 great all-around performers from UCLA, Scott Keswick, Cheney Humphrey, and also Oklahoma has 2 really superstar athletes in Jared Hanks and Jeff Lutz. Penn State doesn't have a lot of superstars, but they have a lot of depth and talent in gymnasts like Adam Carton. If they can pull off this victory, though, they'll become the first Penn State team in many years to win the title. They'll give their coach his first victory in his whole 27-year career as an NCAA Division I coach.
Rules are as follows. Each team will put 6 gymnasts to work at each apparatus using the 5 best scores, and of course the highest cumulative score will win. These are the first 3 rotations, and then the teams will change up. And going to work right now is UCLA's Cheney Humphrey, the All-American, and he's about...
A very important routine for Cheney because the gymnasts that have gone up before for UCLA have had some problems. They look kind of tired, actually. He mounts with a double layout, very difficult mount, but see that stumble forward. That tends to happen when athletes are tired. A lot of the UCLA gymnasts have done that so far. This is a required press to a handstand. For good gymnasts, it gives them a chance to rest, really, while they're upside. Cheney is the Olympic Festival all-around champion from last year. Second pass is a full in back out, very difficult, but then a big hop. That's also going to cost him. UCLA really needs a good score from Cheney. As I said, the first few gymnasts have had some problems. The scores are low. They need a required front tumbling pass, handspring pike front. And now he sets up for his dismount. Cheney doesn't fit the mold of the average gymnast. He's very big and bulky, a lot of strength, a lot of power. Dismounts with a round off back handspring, double back, great landing.
All-American UCLA. And a 9.3.
And a 9.3 really is not good enough. They need some much higher scores to pick up with the rest of the teams in this competition.
This is Oklahoma's Jared Hanks, Nissen Award winner, and that's about as high as you can go as a gymnast, isn't it?
It really is the Heisman Trophy of gymnastics. He's working across the horse. Jared doing some great flare work. This is a critical event for Oklahoma. This was a disaster for them at the regional qualifying competition. And so far, they've been off to a great start. Works right across the horse. Scissor break. Here's the required pendulum swing on pommel horse. Getting ready for his dismount. The stock layout right up to a handstand. This is a great set. This is the way it's been going for Oklahoma during the entire pommel horse competition.
So the senior from Lafayette, Louisiana, Jared Hanks, being welcomed by his teammates and registered a 9.725. Here's Penn State's Mike Reichenbach.
Now, Penn State got into this team finals by a squeaker, beating Minnesota by just 1/10 of a point. They get a lot of help on the rings where they're super strong. Look at these. 2 Olympic L crosses in a row by Mike. Into a back roll to another iron cross. Just incredible. They're the best team in the country on the rings, and they need this to start off very strong. Press to a handstand. Giant to a handstand. And a front giant. Now getting set for his dismount. It's a giant dislocate into a half-in, half-out. A full twist and double back. Great landing. They're off to a super start as well.
Understandably well received by the fans here at Penn State University. Mike Reichenbach with a 9.85 on the rings. And after the first rotation, Penn State gets off to a good start, followed by Oklahoma and UCLA.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Men's Gymnastics Championships is sponsored by Honda.
He now moves to the floor exercise, and this is senior Jamie Downer from Southampton, England. And Coach Carl Shire's made a habit of bringing Britishers over to compete for him.
He has, and there's his father, his first time really seeing his son compete in the last 5 years. Jimmy mounts with a round-off back handspring, Arabian 1 3/4 dive roll. That's not a very difficult mount. He's a solid gymnast, peaking at the right time. There's a double full. He's peaking at the right time. He had a great performance in the preliminaries, a career best. Now, I have to be honest, so far this routine is not nearly as difficult, for example, as Cheney Humphrey. But the name of the game under pressure is that you have to be consistent. And Jamie's hitting right now, right on target. That was a nice flange press to a handstand. Round off pike straddle side flip. Once again, it's a very simple skill relative to many of the skills that we're seeing done today in gymnastics. Required balance move on one leg, a front scale, gives him a chance to rest, catch his breath, move into that final tumbling pass. And he finishes with a round-off, back handspring, layout double twist to a great landing.
The Nittany Lion crowd applauds, and so does Jamie's dad. Peter, you mentioned not a particularly difficult routine. How do the judges look at that? Would they prefer to see a tougher routine attempted?
I think they'd like to see a tougher routine, but if someone makes a mistake, as did Cheney in a very difficult one, they simply have to deduct.
Well, Jamie registers a 9.7. And moving over to the pommel horse, Cheney Humphrey, contemplating his task. Peter Vidmar has a closer look.
If you had to take a survey of all the gymnasts here and ask them, hey, what's the most difficult event in competition? Many would say the pommel horse. There's 3 basic swings on the pommel horse. A pendulum swing, back and forth with legs apart, it's called scissors. Circular swing with legs together, called double leg circles. And then, of course, the most exciting part of pommel horse, the flares. What makes this event difficult is the fact that you have to do many different intricate skills with those basic elements. Moving up and down the horse, doing certain skills on one pommel. And what also makes the pommel horse difficult is that you never have the opportunity to stop. If the athlete is off balance, he has to adjust instantaneously or he's on his back. He doesn't have the luxury of resting in a handstand like the gymnast does on the rings or on the parallel bars.
So UCLA's Cheney Humphrey. Also on the team, younger brother Greg, who told us this little story about him and his older brother.
One time my brother was getting beat up by this one boy, I think it was in 3rd grade, and I used to always pretend like I was Superman. I'd wear the Superman costume under my clothes. And so one day he actually did get in this fight, and I stripped off all my clothes, had my Superman costume underneath, and ran and beat up the guy for him.
Nice to have Superman coming to your rescue, isn't it?
No kidding. Cheney starts off very strong, moving across the horse. This is a very important... Oh, that's a big mistake. They need a good score from Cheney. This is not going to help.
Greg offering encouragement. Cheney has been bothered with a sore shoulder.
He has. It really shouldn't bother him on pommel horse, though, because pommel horse does not take much out on your shoulders. I'll tell you, last year, this same thing happened to UCLA. They had problems on the pommel horse. They got off to a slow start, and they never recovered. They're in big trouble.
Let's go back and try to find out where Cheney went wrong.
Well, it seemed as if he was moving across the horse. Cheney was leaning forward too much and never quite recovered there. As I said earlier, if you're off balance, you got to make the adjustment right away.
So UCLA still staggering, an 8.7 for Cheney Humphrey. It's tough to come back in gymnastics, too, isn't it?
It really is, and they were hoping for a 9.7 from Cheney, so that hurt them quite a bit.
Here's Oklahoma's Jeff Lutz.
Jeff's gymnastics is quite deceiving. He's not real bulky like Cheney, yet he has all the power that a gymnast like Cheney Humphrey has. It was a great L cross to a pull out, forward roll to another cross pull out. That's called a hollow back press to a handstand. Front giant. Another front giant. Boy, this is a really solid routine. Getting ready for his dismount. A double layout with a perfect landing. Oklahoma is not letting up.
Well, we said UCLA is staggering. Oklahoma having no such problems and a lot of confidence being shown at the Oklahoma bench. Jeff Lutz, the senior from Fort Worth, Texas. A 9.875, and Oklahoma right behind Penn State after 2 rotations.
Term. Today, they are all too common among athletes in a variety of sports.
If I didn't eat all day, then I would probably throw up maybe once or twice. But if I ate during the day, I would probably throw up as many as, I think the most I ever threw up was about 20 times in one day.
It's important to realize that no individual or sport is exempt from abnormal eating practices.
While the common stereotype of who develops an eating disorder is a young woman from an upper-middle-class family, in fact, we've found people of any age, both men and women, people of any racial or ethnic background, are vulnerable to eating disorders.
The NCAA wants you to know that eating disorders are a serious health concern. For more information on eating disorders and athletics, please contact the NCAA. This message is provided by the NCAA.
Some of the top marathoners in the world compete in the...
Well, welcome back, everyone. And Oklahoma now moves to the floor exercise, trailing Penn State. UCLA is running third after 2 rotations. And the Sooners now move to the floor exercise, and Marcus Jordan is the first man up for Oklahoma. How important is it for the first competitor to get off to a good start?
Well, momentum is a real key ingredient, and if the first guy goes up and does well, it sets the pace for the rest of the team. And that was a great Arabian double front. Look how high he got. Second tumbling pass. Brown off against spring double tuck. He's right on target. This is really going to help. Floor exercise is a very comfortable event for Oklahoma. In fact, they say this is probably their best event in competition. There's a press to a handstand. So far, really no mistakes from Jordan right now. Here's another required front tumbling pass. A front flip into another front flip. Now, they're not tumbling on just a floor. They've got 4-inch coiled springs underneath that with about 3 inches of very resilient foam. Gymnast is still doing most of the work, but the equipment does help. Sets up for his dismount. Brown off back handspring, double tuck. A great start for Oklahoma on floor.
Marcus Jordan, the sophomore from Tulsa, at 5'9". He's pretty big for a gymnast, isn't he?
He is big, but that bigness helps. Take a look at his second tumbling pass, a double tuck. He goes way up in the air. Lots of time to see the ground and land.
Well, we talked about getting a team off to a good start. Marcus Jordan with a 9.675 on the floor exercise.